Detroit in black and white. Saturday edition. I'm an angry black man. Adolph Mongo. We here at McShane's, Michigan, and Trumbull. Thank you, Bob Roberts, for letting us come here today. Joining me on the panel today is Allan Lengel from Deadline Detroit. You were the topic of conversation last night, Allan.
Yeah.
You know, we had to tell them there's Deadline, there's Detroit in black and white. So when you want to talk about Deadline, call Allan Lengel.
Right.
Anyway, how you doing today?
Good. Great to be here at the corner.
Detroit City, what's that, soccer?
It's just Detroit City. I got the shirt. I liked it.
Okay. And here's I'm a birthday girl.
Absolutely. Hey.
Vanessa Moss, how you doing?
I'm fine. Good morning to all you Detroit Black and White viewers. Thank you so much for watching us this morning. Actually, we're going to thank you for watching us the 3 days of the week that you watch us. We're going to ask that you join in the chat. Join us in the chat. But more importantly, we want you to tell everybody, all your friends, about Detroit Black and White. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. Also, remember that you can catch us on all social media platforms. And if you want to watch previous episodes of Detroit Black and White, you can go on DetroitandBlackandWhite.com and catch all the previous episodes. Thank you. Oh, before we get into the show, I want to say thank you. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
You know what it is? That's another fake holiday.
It's not
people treat their mama like shit, and then on the Mother's Day, here's a card, here's some flowers.
You know what?
You supposed to treat the women in your life right 365 days.
I agree. And you know what? I've been blessed with two wonderful sons that treat me well 365 days of the year. And guess what? My family in North Carolina, Travis, Truth turned 4 the other day. Travis, Truth, Vito, and Lou, good morning.
Okay, good. Okay. Let's start off doing that right. Your outrage of the week, Vanessa. Your birthday girl.
I left my phone. I realized when I sat down, I left my phone. I had my outrage on my phone, so I'm gonna pass. So I can think about it.
It's always an outrage.
Right.
Go ahead, Alan.
By outrage, I'm going to address something. Dana Nessel, she made some allegations, which I tend to agree with. She charged 11 people at the University of Michigan. They're pro-Palestinian protesters. They were part of an encampment for, I think, 30-day encampment. They were arrested. I was arrested during when I was on strike at the Detroit News in the mid-'90s twice. I was arrested. I was charged for sitting.
You was a radical.
For sitting civil protests, blocking entrances. I was arrested. I went to court. The whole 9 yards. And so, first of all, I don't get why. That's part of civil disobedience. Whatever part of protest is that you put yourself out there and potentially get arrested. She charged these people. The lawyer started saying she should be disqualified because she's Jewish. And she said, I've never seen a black prosecutor removed from a case because somebody's racist and they're afraid there might be a...
They have been.
No, not for... No.
Listen, we can... If people been removed from juries because they've been black, they've been removed... Listen, I work for a newspaper in Maryland. They took... I broke the case of the Klan, and they took me off saying I couldn't be objective because I'm black and shit. I should have sued their ass.
But I think what he's saying is she's saying Dana Nessel says that you haven't had a judge or something like that removed or a prosecutor.
Well, a prosecutor. Jurors. Jurors. You go to your basic thing of saying I instinctively think this person is Jewish or black or whatever, and is going to be biased. So you have that opportunity. But for a prosecutor, it's like when I was a reporter at the Washington Post, it was a Saturday. There was the skinheads, neo-Nazis were protesting in front of the Israeli embassy. And I had a black editor, and I said to her, look, she said, I want you to go out there and cover. And I said, I just want you to tell you, my parents are Holocaust survivors, full disclosure. Said, go ahead, go out there. I interviewed the Nazis. They liked the story so much they put it on their website. I tried to be objective about it.
You said the Nazis, like they say, the blacks.
Yeah.
The whites.
Yeah. Well, but
So what she do? She dropped the shit.
She dropped it because you know what happened? She said it became such a sideshow, such a distraction, where the judge, instead of considering the fact, I mean, the district court judge job is to decide the facts and whether it should be bound over for trial in circuit court.
But don't you think that the protesters, the people that charge, it has a point in this kind of atmosphere where Trump, the Trump administration is picking up folks, deporting them because they getting kicked out of colleges because they are protesting, saying, "Well, I'm pro Palestinian,"
right?
And now people don't want to hear that.
I agree with you on that.
That's
100%. But this case was actually during the Biden administration. I agree. It's outrageous what's going on with pro-Palestinian people. I mean, saying that they're a threat to our national security and stuff like that is bullshit. It's a freedom of speech. Any war, as Ernest Hemingway said, no matter how justified war is, it's still a crime. And for people should protest war regardless of.
It just reminds me of Vietnam when college students were protesting Vietnam, or the black student unions was protesting, taking up arms. And I can give an example at Cornell University where the black students was arrested for carrying weapons and all this other shit in the 60s and in the early 70s. Listen, we had to deal with it.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like I say, I got arrested twice. We got warned by the police. They said, okay, move away. We were arrested blocking the front door. I was arrested, Marion Mahaffey, Bishop Gumbleton. We were all arrested in front of the Detroit News Building, blocking the entrance. We were told, move away or you're going to be arrested. A lot of people moved away. 21 of us stayed. We got arrested. Next time we were down at the Riverfront plant, same thing. Move out of the way or you're going to get arrested. We got arrested. We got put on a bus. We got booked. We went to court. And it's just part of the protest. If you do a civil disobedience or whatever, that's just part of the price.
So I want to make sure I got this right. Your outrage is that Dana Nessel dropped the case?
No. My outrage is that people are saying because she's Jewish, as a prosecutor, she cannot try somebody who she may not agree with their point of view. And I think it's anti-Semitic.
No, I think in this atmosphere that people have a right to question that.
And you know what?
They can question it, but not legally.
Obviously, she think that there's something to it because she decided to like it. Okay,
you
fine.
know what? No. I listened to it this morning, her thing, and she said, look, you know what? It became such a distraction for our office. We were filing, she said, for a case where they were going to get probation. And she said, we have been filing motions back and forth, and it started to get so.
They don't want probation. They don't want to be kicked out of school.
Filing these motions so that she can have this case, right? She's filing all these motions, right? Using our taxpayer dollars, our good dollars, to do this.
Yeah.
And she knew that these people would probably get probation anyway. Okay, that makes sense.
But
is she trying to make a political statement? Is she using? I'm asking the viewers. I'm asking everybody.
You know what?
Using it as using her position as the AG. Maybe people are looking at it as her using it as political football, or is it something that she really believes in? I'm just asking the question.
I think she believed that when they were asked to be removed, they were asked to leave after 30 days. They were warned like 11 times. The fire marshal said, this is a fire hazard. You've got chicken wire out there. You've got generators out there. It's a fire hazard. And when they tried to arrest some of the people, they were throwing stuff at the cops and stuff like that. I mean,
we walked out Black Action Movement at U of M twice, and they kicked kids out, and they suspended folks, and we haven't been through this shit before, and it just wasn't a good look that Dana Nessel, the Attorney General, who happened to be Jewish, and they kicking out folks that saying I'm pro-Palestinian. Not everybody that's pro-Palestinian is pro-Hamas and all this other shit, man. It's just crazy. If I can't go protest, I'm Palestinian, and I said I can't support my folks over at the guy.
They absolutely. I'm 100% for them protesting. It's at some point you have to clear the way, and when you're asked to leave, like I said, we were asked to leave during the strike. We didn't leave. We were arrested. We were put on a bus. We were booked. We ended up in court. You was a radical.
Were you charged?
Yes.
Yeah.
We were given probation. We got probation.
How long was your probation?
It was a year, but
what did you have to do?
But I didn't have to do shit. But
Okay.
you know what? And
Okay.
look, the judges were all from working class families. They supported us, and so I got arrested. I was on probation for a year. I got arrested a second time. 6 months later, I should have actually gotten in serious trouble.
But Lengel.
Right.
Let me tell you about Lengel. They out in front of the Free Press and the News. I had a candidate. I said, "Why you want to get interviewed by a Free Press?" Because he wanted to. He ran for Congress and shit. It's the late Doug Diggs.
Right.
Okay.
I said, "They're not going to endorse you." He said, "But hey." So David Lawrence said, "You can come in the back, they're going to get you." I said, "No, we'll go in the front." We go out in the front. Lengel, I said, "Mongo, you're not crossing the picket line." I said, "Fuck the unions."
You've been saying F you for a long time, right?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, you was one of those radicals. Can we take a break? Take a break. You got your other guests here. Yeah.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
All right, we are back.
Good morning. We're back. Detroit Black and White. We have been joined by 2 guests. We're going to have another guest come on, Ira Todd. What time is he coming?
I was coming about 10:15.
It's almost
Any minute.
Any minute. So, our 2 guests, one, he comes on every month. He is no stranger to Detroit Black and White. Marc, DeAndre, 7 Mile Radio.
How you doing?
Okay. And we also have Keisha Brooks. I'm going to have Keisha Brooks introduce herself, but I'm going to tell you guys how I met Keisha. When I was on the campaign trail, I went to Mackinac and I met Keisha, and we struck up a friendship, and we made sure that we kept keep in contact with one another. And I thought that it would be a good idea to have her on the show. Keisha is a massage therapist, but I'm going to have her give you her credentials, and then we're just going to chop it up. We were in the middle doing our outrages, but I guess we could get back to that after you guys do this.
Hi everybody, good morning.
Talk up, Keisha.
I am Keisha Brooks. I can't speak very loudly, so I will project. I am a mother of 3, and I am a licensed massage therapist as well as an assistant instructor at Irene's Mind Massology School, which is one of the formidable schools in the Metro Detroit area, as well as chair of the board of massage therapy for the state of Michigan, appointed in 2023. And so I use my platform to educate people about the anatomy and physiology of the body to help them to take more control of their health and their well-being.
Okay, so in educating us about our health and our well-being, please give us a brief education. If you have some questions, jump in, and then we eventually gonna move into a conversation about what's the name of that place? Trafficking.
It's called the Traveling. I nicknamed it Trafficking.
Okay, so
That is a huge issue. But I will. Massage therapy is the manual manipulation of the muscles, correct? And so it becomes like a specialist as to people that have like achy joints, achy muscles. And what I found is that it becomes a more proactive means to kind of before you feel like you need to get surgery, before you need to have someone cut into you, for you to have massage therapy services. And I have found incredible results in increasing range of motion. People have not needed to get surgery who was supposed to get surgery. And I am not against anyone going to a medical physician for their health needs, but there is another more holistic, proactive means to maintain your health and your physical, movement. And that's one of the things that we tend to kind of stiffen up when we feel like we have a little ache. We're like, oh, let's not move it. But what that does is that increases the inflammation, increases the calcification of the joints or the muscles, and it makes it worse. So movement is very important in massage therapy. We do that as far as helping you passively make those movements, as well as increase circulation. It decreases your heart rate. It brings forth relaxation, which we found is one of the hugest issues because we're living in such a stressful time. We don't know how to just relax, and we think that when we relax, we're just sleeping. But in that day to day, you need to have something to relieve some of that stress so that you can stay in a clear mind space so that you can maneuver the way you need to navigate this world. So especially working with seniors, I work with seniors a lot. That's where I was at Mac Alive. I am a resident massage therapist there. I do free massages on Thursday.
Wow.
It has really helped the quality of life for seniors as well, and have balanced out those vitals that they're usually tested on, their blood pressure, their blood sugar, and their heart rate. And I've just found incredible success. My very first senior, he was a 75-year-old man with diabetes. He's about to lose his toe because it had gotten so bad, and he has not lost his feet. He's 80 now, and he's very healthy, and he's not very healthy, but he is healthy. His sugar rate has balanced out, and he's living a happy life. He's got married to his beautiful wife that's 75. That was the very first massage that she received was with me. And so it's just very rewarding to give people an option that is less invasive and just helps them maintain a good, healthy state of being.
I've got a question. I'm a huge fan of massages. It's great. I also, when I've done a little bit here, but when I lived in DC, I went fairly regularly to a reflexologist.
Okay.
And I was just so amazed that she would touch a part of my foot and say, "You're carrying something on your left shoulder," which happened to be my briefcase I was carrying. Do you do a study of reflexology, all the, and I've done acupuncture and all that. Tell how much have you delved into that type of stuff in terms of understanding the body and what correlates to what?
Absolutely. So the body is an intricate systems that work together, and we have pressure points within our feet, which is the largest, in our hands as well as our ears. And it is very fascinating how I can press in on parts of your foot and it will stimulate a different part of the body, like the palm of your foot, the very bottom of it. A lot of people have issues with sciatic pain. You've heard of that, right?
Right. Sure.
And that is the pressure point.
What are you feeling when you go there that you know something's wrong?
Well, you don't really know something's wrong, but you can feel, there will feel like
knot.
maybe like a knot or like a pebble or like just a little bit harder. And as you press it, and then it's interesting how the person on the table is going to take like, whoa, I felt that in my lower back, or I felt that in my, yeah.
Do you know like the different spots, like if you touch on somebody's foot, where they would feel it at? Because I can notice like some places where I may scratch myself and I'll feel something somewhere else.
Yeah.
So like, do you know all of those different like cheat code spots?
Yeah, so they're like little maps, like on the foot that you can like bring up on Google or whatever, and it kind of shows you the correlation, right? And so that midpoint on the very bottom of the heel of your foot it hits that piriformis or that sciatic nerve. And it will release some of it, or the palm, this part of the foot. And I'm sorry if you can't see me because we're on radio, but right underneath your toes, that little area right underneath your toes, you release that and I will release your jaw. So it's like pretty awesome. I remember when I was in school and we were like practicing these things and I was like, oh my God, I can really feel my jaw release. So it really does.
So let me ask you this. So I've had massages and I will say I am very resistant to somebody touching my body that, I'm not familiar with,
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and you have I don't know if you call it the regular massage or the deep massage, deep tissue massage.
Swedish.
How do you get someone to relax and say that it is okay? Because, we talk about personal space, right? And you're talking about relaxation, right? But you have to have your mind get to the point where you can say, I want this stranger to put their hands all over my body, right? And not to be able to, as you say, allow you to put your fingers on the
and touch feet, because some people don't want their foot.
And my jaw dropped. I will admit that has never happened. I'm a person who loves to be in control, right? And I'm very much aware, absolutely, and aware of my surroundings. And very seldom, I've had massages, but I can honestly say, I can't say I've left out. It was like, oh, that was the best thing in my life. I'm busy trying to figure out, and we're gonna get into this because I had a guy to give me a massage. And this guy ended up going to prison because he was taking advantage of all these people.
Wow.
And, I don't know, it was out of Oakland County. It was all over the news. Absolutely. So
it's so important that you bring that up because it's really something that I've been advocating for. One, to have the public understand that massage therapy is a healthcare profession. And because it's very interesting that you brought up like reflexology and shiatsu, because there are these Eastern medicine modalities that they call them, like shiatsu and Thai massage and Asian body work, which is exempt from licensing. And so many times you'll find it is kind of falling under. And so what is happening is that we are in this boom of black market economy, right? So you're having a lot of human trafficking, a lot of sex trafficking, and they are using that little hole in that loophole of the licensing to kind of fall under. So you see recently there have been some arrests of like therapists and not therapists, but practitioners in the Asian bodywork massage salons, whatever you
we see a lot of
Thai and Thai massages. And they're not licensed, and they're using that licensing exemption as an excuse to open up business and do all these other activities. So it's one of the things that is very important to, one, ensure that your massage therapist is licensed. Two, have a consultation. I don't like to just jump in on a massage because it's very true. Some people have had issues with sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and so it's very like sensitive to have someone touch them. I remember I was at U of M, and they had like a staff appreciation and we do chair massages, and this young lady just could not, and you can tell. And I do have a graduate from U of M Dearborn with a degree in psychology, so you can kind of like you have to have a sensitivity. And I do notice as a teacher at Irene, some people don't understand the sincereness of what this is and seriousness of what we're doing, because we are asking people to completely just trust someone as they lay there, and you don't have to be undressed completely for massage therapy as well. So
let me, in terms of particularly you deal with seniors, and we know how important it can be just to have some human touch, people like the hug
absolutely,
or whatever. How significant is it for some of these people who are never taught, have no human
some
contact?
that don't have any family that don't visit them, and they don't have that human contact. And we saw that a lot in COVID, right, where we couldn't touch each other, and how much that impacted our mental psyche. A lot of depression took place in that time. And so, yes, I am finding. But again, let me go back to the fact that it's very important for you to, the practitioner, communicate your sincerity. Explain what your background is. Explain to them like what you will be doing. I educate my clients about their body so that when they leave me, they'll know how to keep this well-being state. Because when you leave me, you will feel like a weight off. You feel lighter. You don't feel that weight that you carry around on a daily basis. And so, go ahead.
So, how do you tie the massage or massage therapy into the whole sex trafficking thing? Because again, now I would say this: I will not allow a male masseuse or whatever it is, because I never thought to look at see whether or not this person had a license. So this is educational for us. Yeah. So how do you? I won't let no. I don't want to ban the massage. But how do you
tie the two?
Some women, but anyway. So how do you tie those two together? Okay, and then we could evolve into trafficking.
So when it comes to tying them together, so we'll just say that again, because massage therapy is seen as something where you just kind of like come in on the table and you get dressed, and it's very invasive, but you feel like your privacy is being invaded. People totally can take advantage of that, right? Especially again, since we just realized, or we just found out that some of these Asian modalities, all of them are exempt from licensing. So
did y'all hear that? Repeat that again to our audience.
All of them. So Thai, Reiki, which is energy work, reflexology, shiatsu, and Asian body work are all exempt under the licensing. In which, in order for us to change that, we need legislation change, which has not taken place since the licensing of massage therapy took place in 2009.
Which is a thing to know, considering that our 13th congressional district seat holder, Sri Tinadar.
Adolph, you need to hear this. You need to hear this. Come here. Yeah.
That's a very interesting component to know about. Seeing we have a politician that's pushing for sex work to be decriminalized.
Yeah.
To have things of that nature. So we got this loophole where these certain entities are not get in the industry without licensing.
Yeah.
And then while they're in there, hey, we can go ahead and give them the benefits as if they are licensed.
And it's taking place in Ann Arbor already, where sex workers are being decriminalized, and the massage therapists there are really seen, because again, it doesn't become an attack against the public that are getting massages, but also practitioners, because you get people coming in expecting these additional services, and and again, because there is no language in our laws, and there's no language through Lara, we become I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say that before. I'm sorry. But anyway, it becomes a real issue that we cannot regulate, that we can't do anything about, because, and yes, the everyday person does not know to even look for. You have to have, if you go to a massage therapy therapist, they have to have their license on the wall. Just like if you go to a doctor, if you go to a dentist, they have to have it somewhere in sight. So that's one thing that you want to look for when you go somewhere.
And you want to be referred to as a massage therapist, not a masseuse.
Yes. And the reason why, well, it's so tricky trying to explain that, but masseuse is a French term, and the French have a tendency to blur those lines very easily. And so, and also having the word therapist, that means that it is actual therapy, right? It's actually a healthcare profession that actually does create some change in the body, right? Even if it's allowing from someone to go from a very anxious state to a relaxed state, that's still changing, like the nervous system is being relaxed out. And so it is making a change in the body. So that's why it's important to have therapy or therapist at the end of the massage and not masseuse, because again, the two terms are completely different, and it brings room for that blending of sex trafficking or, sex work in play.
Okay, so when we talk about you coming on the show, I told you that 7 Mile Radio comes on once a month, and I thought it'd be good for you guys to both be on the show, because you had mentioned in our conversation something about Travelers Inn, and he had done he's done some stories about Travelers Inn, but called it Traffickers Inn. Yes. So let's have a brief conversation about that, and then I want you to weigh in, and then we're going to get all the guests on.
I'm excited to be sitting next to you. I'm also part of our Black Club. I'm very community driven. So at some of our meetings, like Ravendale Black Club has really been having that Travelers on their radar, and some of our Black Clubs. But there's been a lot of officers, our MPOs have been really trying to, crack down and really finding. And I remember we were at the last Ravendale Black Club. The owners were actually there, and they brought a lawyer. It was about 6 months ago, like it was last year, towards the end of the year. And go ahead.
And I was just thinking, because I know around the end of the year, I made a post on social media in regards to the unwinding of the Zy Harris case. The 13-year-old girl that went missing last year, seen on the school bus, and then her uncle ended up being the one that was the suspect for what happened. But it ended up being that she was last seen at trafficking. So it wasn't known about it until I made a post on social media about it, and social media kind of went crazy about it. So that's when I was hearing there's a lot of meetings being heard about it. I did a couple more stories about some of the people that live there, and one of the residents who pays $1,300 a month to live there. She said she administered over 100 doses of Narcan in the last year from people who have OD'd up there. There's a lot of trafficking, a lot of drug dealers up there, and just a lot of
and stuff. Can I also just emphasize, this is a hotel, all right? And thank you.
So now, and the part of the reason was part of that story was there was an orderly lady on the 3rd floor. Who, because the building was in such horrific conditions, the EMS and her doctors could not even get up to her top floor to give her the medicine. So her health is deteriorating, and they have her in a roach-infested, mouse-infested, rodent-infested apartment, charging her $1,300 a month, and not even allowing her medical.
So I'm going to ask a question. What district is that?
District 4.
District 4. Who's the city council person?
Madam Councilwoman Letitia Johnson.
Okay, has that been brought to her attention?
Yes.
Is she running unopposed?
I don't think she.
I can't answer.
Up for what?
Yes, she is.
Up for
I
election?
think she's trying
Who's
to
for you?
I can't answer that, but I do know that she is very much aware of it, and she has been. I will say, she has been very supportive of our efforts too.
Good.
And what I find interesting is that when they did show up at our block, the owners, they brought their attorney, and so they're very much on the defense because it's been about a couple years that the residents in the neighborhood and that because that's close to my neighborhood, so I see and I also see a lot of the prostitutes that are kind of out that comes over. So it's a very just terrible environment, especially for children and for just, they'll just be out. These prostitutes are out with just like maybe some like boy shorts on and a top and you're walking up Harper and it's a mess.
All right, Keisha, we want you to give our viewers your information, your phone number, your address, because they're asking for it, because they want a good massage therapist out of the schools. Thank you so much for educating us. We would love to have you come back on the show again. Okay, so give your information.
So my business is the Peace and Harmony Center. I'm located at 15510 Mack Avenue, just to make a landmarker. If anybody knows about the Cracked Egg on Mack Avenue, it's always very busy. I'm that small office right next to it, attached to the Cracked Egg. I'm also at Mack Alive, and I do want to just give a quick shout out for Mack Alive. 35 years, Mack Alive has been doing a parade. And it starts at St. Jean's in Mack, and it goes down to Restaurant Boulevard. We have a rally with clothes drive, food drive, bouncy houses. We have 4 floats from the parade company. We're the second largest parade in the state of, or in Detroit metropolitan area, opposed to the Thanksgiving Day parade. And we really have a great time. It's a beautiful event to celebrate the East Side. It's led by Alberta Tinsley and her sister Artina Hartman. And August 23rd is the day of, we'd love for you to come out. We're going to have the largest boots on the ground hustle going up Mack. It's going to be amazing. And so I'm there as well on Thursdays. They have a senior Health Matters. I do chair massages for free on Thursdays and live, as well as I am also a teacher at Irene's. If anyone is interested in the field of massage therapy, Irene's my massology school in Southfield is the place.
Thank you so much, Keisha.
Thank you.
And happy Mother's Day to you.
Are you an East Sider? Do you grow up
I
on
am
the
an
East Side?
East Side. No, I grew up on the West Side, but as an adult, I've raised my children.
Okay.
Right, so we're going to have our next guest come on.
All right. Why don't we take a commercial break?
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
It looks like that's strange.
All right, so
You get that right.
Please stop talking.
Somebody got to talk around here.
We are back online. Welcome back. All right. Okay.
Stand next to my pistol, yeah.
All righty.
We're back on.
We're on, guys.
Hey, you go ahead.
Okay, we're back on here. Thanks for joining the show here at Michigan and Trumbull. We've got Ira Todd, who was a Detroit police investigator for a long time, retired, still doing some consulting work for Hollywood on some police shows, and we've got. Why don't you introduce yourself? Island Park. Okay, you and I have
Speak loud,
spoken.
man. 'Cause I know when you pull people off,
You and I have spoken.
you got a big voice, don't you?
I'm a low key guy.
All right.
Yeah, right.
So we've got two experts here in law enforcement. And I think one of the things, the big news this week was the one case
Grand Rapids.
in Grand Rapids where there was a hung jury, and a lot of people predicted that, even though we saw the guy get executed really in the back of his head. The cop was on his back, and he shot him. His defense was, "I was worried. I feared for my life." What you guys get from that? Were you surprised, and what was your take on that case?
You know, I it's hard to judge something like that in Monday morning quarterback. The biggest thing I have from that is, did he really fear for his life? And that's one thing we can't really say that he didn't fear for his life. You know, a lot of people think with cops, you know, we get out there and we're tough and we work out and we train and we're ready for this stuff. Sometimes you might be in that headspace that day where you're not prepared and something goes wrong and you make some mistakes. You know, and you get into a scuffle and you get exhausted and you get overwhelmed and fear kicks in sometimes. You might react, and reacting might be pulling that trigger. So I think a lot of people, you know, they'll sit back and they'll look at it and they'll see the video and it was horrible. It was horrible to me because somebody didn't see a human being getting shot in the back of the head. However, I don't see cops reduce themselves to having to do that. But I also understand too, when you're in the middle of all that drama and all that chaos, sometimes you may react differently than you would react on other occasions.
Well, you wrote a piece in the Detroit Free Press. What kind of reaction have you got from that piece about the trial?
I've gotten really good reaction. I've had even judges, Judge Allan texted me last night. You and him talked to text her about 9:30 at night. I hadn't talked to Judge Allan in years, David Allan. I mean, he was one of the best judges I loved. He was very fit. He taught officers too. He was one of those judges. If you came into a search warrant and you didn't have your stuff together, he would tell you, "Hey, okay, you need to do this, you need to think about this, you need to put that together. I'm not gonna sign it." He would teach officers. He really cares. But I was honored that he texted back. He's like, "That text me."
Tell people what the column said.
Well, basically, it's just saying, look, I think we all have to take a step back and really just kind of understand that when you're law enforcement, there's a lot of things that happen. People are going to judge you. A lot of people are going to judge you. And you have to understand you got to have your thick skin. That's what the is. And when people are second guessing you or watching that video, that split-second decision that you're making, people have emotions. You know, it depends on where you come from, how those emotions are, you know, they make you react. But we have to remember that basically the criminal justice system was designed to protect them. And not just us officers too. And officers got mad at me when I said he should have been tried. And I was trying to tell these guys who got pissed off at me, said, don't come back to headquarters. You come up on the 5th floor, we ain't let them in. And they said, "No, hey." You know? But they told other people that, you know.
Blacklisting.
Oh yeah. But my thing was, and they were younger, white officers said that, and some older black officers where we feel like there's times when we have to protect each other and we stand up for each other. You know, it's just like that mama and that kid out there, that bad little boy that's out there robbing everybody, and you go lock them up and shit. My son don't do anything wrong, but you're going to protect that person that you love, and we love each other. In blue, he'll tell you, I don't care if you're wearing a brown uniform, you're wearing a blue uniform. If you're in law enforcement, we love each other. We might have this little hate-love relationship where we get mad because we're going to be very...
But it's like your family where you know your brother is fucked up. But you protect him anyway, and you say, "Yeah, but he gonna do better."
So let me interrupt for a minute. The viewers are having a hard time hearing you.
Okay,
so I need you to project. I know you have testified in court.
So
I know you know how to project. So let's project.
You got to get me mad to project. Okay, so basically, That's what I tell a lot of people. You got to understand too that emotions get hurt. But if you out there really doing that job, you out there any amount of time, any officer tell you you doing that job, things can go wrong right away. And you think you might have control when things get out of control. And if you get exhausted and you start feeling threatened, feel like you're really gonna lose your life, I'm gonna tell you something. You don't know how you run. I've raided houses with some of the toughest guys who have raided houses and cleared houses 4 or 5 times. And at one time, they may freeze up. You don't know what that day is going to bring to you. People got to realize cops are human. And I watched this guy testify. And I want to see this guy fucking racist or somebody that wanted to go out there and kill somebody. And watching the video over and over again, he was really just trying to do his job. But he made some mistakes out there. But at the time, people don't realize you may make those mistakes because you don't know what's coming at you. And you adjust.
Did the victim make some mistakes?
The victim made quite a few mistakes. But most experience often, and I'm gonna tell you, a lot of that was inexperience. A lot of that was like Grand Rapids probably do the same thing like Detroit. You get stuff, there's repetition. So after so many years, you learn how to handle things. You know,
what would you have done?
I would have tried. First of all, I would have pulled them over by myself. We trained different. You know, they have one-man cars here, so I'd have got back up there first. You know, and if you do pull them up for a traffic stop, one-man car. If you see this guy's getting good, you position yourself. You get some backup of it before you even start the investigation. I had an old Sergeant Beasley at GameStop told us, you pick and choose when you're going to investigate that guy. You decide where you're going to pull him over. You're going to pull him over in a safe area. You're going to pull him over in an area where other people can watch your back. If you're by yourself, you pick and choose. So a lot of that might have been a little lack of experience, you know, a lack of just knowing what to do at that time because things got crazy at the time. And instead of him wrestling the guy, he should have de-escalated. Backed off, get some help there. You got the car there. You know, you got a plate there. You got a passenger in the vehicle there. There's a number of things to do. They just get back up there. You know, so
because he's in Highland Park.
That's right.
And you know, and
Just listening to,
go ahead.
to the master.
What's happened in Highland Park? Tell us your perspective.
Pertaining to the stop, I think it's important to reiterate that you're not there. And you have to, you're quarterback, regardless to whether or not that's what you want to do. That's exactly what you're doing. So there are some things fundamentally as police officers, young or old, that we have to watch the perception because what's on video may be justified, but it never looks good. You never have that, oh yeah, clean cut, whatever the case may be. But you'd be surprised at how many civilians who've never, been anything in law enforcement have so much definitive answers to what should happen, what you can and cannot.
What would you have done? What do you think? What would you have done differently so the outcome was different?
So the old guys always say, and our chief, who's very much still a police officer, he's the chief of police, but he's very much a police officer, and he always hammers that you control this stuff. There's another guy who comes in who says, you win some, you lose some, you pick your battles. Is this a match where I have to show that I have power? Can I let this one pass and get them on another day, another way? So it's hard to say definitively what I would have done not being there, because you can watch videos all day, but until you're there, until you know what he was feeling, until you know what is there that was not caught on camera.
But with what you know now, what would be a different alternative outcome, alternative approach in this?
Backup, requesting backup, waiting, slowing down. Another thing that is very present now is training. So you go to the police academy, and it used to be where you rode with the senior officer for a period of time. He told you and taught you the things that you didn't learn in the academy. Well, now you have a scout car that may have maybe 7 years together. The young guy has 2 years or less. The older guy may have 3, to 5 years. So it's you got very young scout cars, and law enforcement is becoming very young. Because of this situation, the guys who have the time are saying, okay, I'll watch from the side. I'm not going to stay in this fight. So it's really hard to say what you would do different. I hate to criticize or to say, oh, I'm an expert at this or those situations, because you're not. Even if you've been in those situations before, until you're there, until you're dealing with that, it's hard to say what you're going to do.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, I have a question because Ira made this comment about we're all brothers, we all love each other. Like this case in particular, because we're here in Michigan, it, like the case of Memphis, how does it make you feel when your fellow brother, whether they're brown, blue, or whatever, how does it make you feel that the job that you do is to catch, as Jim would say, the bad guy? How does it feel that the bad guy is now your brother? But your brother double, because the person that's deceased is also your brother. How does that make you feel?
So again, I have no dog in the fight, but to say that the bad guy is now my brother, that's a little low. But I think I encourage everyone. There are guys who are younger than me, there are guys that are older than me, that we as law enforcement members, civilian members, licensed officers, consultants, we attempt to get one another on the same page. What's right? I think we have the duty, and in most general orders, you have the duty to intervene. We have the duty to hold each other accountable. I think it's unfortunate to, one, watch someone in law enforcement or someone who's dedicated their life, and one who has, given up a lot, because you give up a lot when you become a law enforcement member as well, to go through that. I think it's also unfortunate that a member of a community that I'm a part of, the African American community, for the hurt, because what that represents is repetitious accounts of this is how we're treated. Whether or not that's 100% accurate, that's our perception.
But you know what? It depends. If I think of a time when I was pissed off one morning, I was mad at somebody. Probably mad at my wife. Driving down Jefferson, police behind me. I ran the red light. They didn't do anything. Went to another red light. I ran that red light. Then they pulled me over. The guy said, "You had a bad morning." He was a young guy. Mm-hmm. I said, "Yeah, I had. It already started off wrong." Okay. Can you stop that? I said, "Yeah, I can." And he let me go. And it's like, that could have been. He said, I ran 2 red lights in front of the police. And I said, because I was pissed off.
But it could have been your approach too. You was polite to him. That kind of thing. But I want to just say this, and that's what the article is about too. It's like people don't realize we are human. We're all human. And a lot of times we talk about.
But it depends, because I ran a red light in Royal Oak one time, and the cop said, "You know why I'm stopping you?" I said, "Yeah, I ran the red light." He said he took my license and everything, came back, and he said, "You know what? I gave 4 tickets today on people running this red light over by Beaumont Hospital." He said, "You're the only one that that told the truth." He said, "Have a nice day."
That's right.
I said, you get lucky, and then you read the stories of somebody getting shot because they didn't put on a blinker going into another lane, and the police stopped, and it escalated into some crazy stuff, or somebody jaywalked across the street and they get shot. It's like
we have one of the viewers, Megan Slidery, who says cops in the United States need to learn jiu-jitsu as they do in some European countries, non-lethal takedown, and you can put someone temporarily to sleep. The cops instead of killing. What do you think of?
I say a lot of people got a whole lot of advice for a lot of cops who've never been cops.
Right. Yeah.
And first of all, you can know judo, you can have 20 guns. If it ain't your day that day, you ain't going home.
Yeah.
So bottom line, it's like you said, we don't know what will we do in that situation, because in that situation, we might get a different mindset. So the bottom line, when cops go through something like that and something happens like that, I just think it's up to the public to decide. Because everybody get emotional on the outside, and everybody's upset. People have their different values.
Should they retry the case?
I think it's up to the prosecutor based on when you poll the jury and based on what they say and their perception of what went on, because they're the ones who heard all the facts, all the evidence. So they're the ones who can say, hey, wait, we couldn't decide. That's what the jury said. That's what the justice system is all about. The people of your peers are judging you, and they're looking at everything. They know the totality of the circumstances. They're seeing all the evidence, everything else. Notwithstanding, they're from that community, so they know if you're a bad cop in the area, they know you're a bad cop. You got a rep in that area. It'll trickle down something, and especially when something get high profile.
Man, just like the Busting and them,
Absolutely.
because they was Batman and Robin.
And people, what happened? People started calling out, oh, they bad. We know they bad. They rob people. They do this. They do that. So people will start saying different things, and then the jury of your peers are the ones that's gonna be in there. But once they see all the facts and circumstances, that's the justice system. Not everybody else saying this is what they do. I would have did this. I would have did that. We don't know what you would have did.
Now, quick question. In 1993, you were involved in a police shooting.
Yes.
You were charged with murder. You and your partner. Tell us a little bit what happened with that.
It was all about the same thing. It was all about the act. Oh, I'm sorry. It's all about the climate at that time.
Tell us what happened.
Talk about that
What happened? It was in Southwest.
I was out in Southwest Detroit. We were working on gang enforcement. Back then, we were with 2 and 3 million. We had got some drugs that night, and one of our partners took the drugs down to narcotic, get it processed. And so me and Rico said, look, we're going to go down to Southwest Detroit, wait for him while he processes the drugs, get some lunch. And we all would meet down there and do like this sweep of the area, because we would do curfew down there, just to clean up the area, because guys out there slinging dope all night, like shooting at cops, shooting at each other. So we go down and we go into duties on Coney Island. And basically, while we're sitting there, one of the bosses come in and say, hey, look, there's a guy named Kilo Angel. Bring him here right before you guys. They got guns, they got this. I mean, about 20 minutes before you came in, they got guns, they got this, they got that. So Rico and I leave out, and they gave us the description thing. We start looking, we just go walking, and we hitting each location trying to see if we can see these guys. So one's supposed to have a assault shotgun, another one had a pistol. So we go down to this bar in front of the Barrow's bar. Yep, there's 2 guys on each side of the bar. They slinging dope. So I tell Rico, let's just keep walking by. And I said, we're going to go down to the phone booth. We didn't have cell phones back then. So go back down to the phone booth and pretend we just getting on the phone. They know which cops at the time. So we walked down. I said, what are we going to do? I said, look, the raid crew is coming down here. Bruce is on his way. All the guys will be down here in a minute. I said, we're going to stay close to them. Identify ourselves. We're going to secure those 2 guys when we walk. As soon as we come back, pull our badges out. Police, everybody starts screaming, 5 the drug dealers running, drug guys running inside, around. We grab the 2 guys that we already identified. Put them on the wall. While Rico was patting them down on the wall, I'm behind at the berm area. When you cover, man, you cover your partner, you watch. The guys are right by the Southwest, they shoot at you. So you watch his back, and Rico's searching everybody, and you just control the area. All of a sudden, Jose Eldorado comes from around the corner out of the store. There's a corner store, and he's walking up fast. Now, I don't know if it's a distraction or he's with these guys or what's going on, but he's coming up, he's pissed off. Now, we don't know if these guys sell real dope, bad dope, because some of these guys got slim and bad dope, and the guys come back with gifts. We know how they go to. So this guy's coming up fast. Rico, you got one coming up on you, got one coming up on you. By the time Rico comes off the ground and searches this guy, he turns, he's in the guy's face. You reach, I turn, I'm watching these guys to the wall. The guys on the wall, they start moving, but this guy, I see him reach. But the guys on the wall move, so I got to cover everything. So I start pulling to see if these guys are trying to do something, because we hadn't cleared them yet. And all of a sudden, when I turn back here, you see Rico fall. And he falls back to the upward floating. He just stumbles back, falls to the ground. I jump in front of him, I fire as many shots as I can see until he falls. And when he falls, he lands face down. And he's laying on what I think is a gun at the time. And he's breathing hard. And I'm watching if he can come back up. And I'm watching. You might feel somebody behind you. So I don't know if the 2 guys on the wall still there, or they behind me, they're ready to rush me. Or if Rico's lying back there, I don't know what's going on. But you still got to wait. And you hear, I'm telling you, it's weird because while you're sitting there trained on this guy, it's something weird going on. And like people say in the movie, to slow down, things really do slow down. You taste gunpowder. And all of a sudden, I could, something was weird. I could see cars going by. It's like, what's going on? But what happened was shots. It's not like when you're on the range. Those shots deafen you, especially in close areas. So you can't hear. So if the car's going by, but I can't hear the pavement. So all of my sensories are off. Everything is slowed down. Still watching this guy, making sure he's not going to come back with a gun. And then you think about partners laying back there dead. I got to go assist my partner. And then I feel somebody behind you because, you feel things. Spin around. And I spin around, go center mass. I see somebody standing there, go center mass. It's Rico. He's just standing there. Got a gun on, he's in daze. I don't know if he's hit. So I said, Rico, you hit. Are you hit? He's not answering. So I back up. I'm still watching this guy slowly. And I don't want Rico to freak out and shoot me. He's just there. So I go back and say, Rico, you hit. Rico, you hit. And he kind of comes out and starts checking himself. He started checking himself. So I'm excited. In 32 years, it still drives me crazy. So he started checking himself. And he's like, I don't think so. It's okay. Well, I heard the shot. Good, you didn't get hit. I didn't get hit. And I said, what kind of gun did he have? I saw him reaching, but I don't know.
What was the shot?
It was actually Rico's gun. When he pushed Rico said he didn't know it. I really believe he didn't know it. When he pushed Rico's gun must have went off. And all I saw from my vantage point, I heard a shot and saw Rico go back. Now, at the time, we didn't know Rico fired. Rico didn't know he fired. So I'm thinking, like, I heard a shot. Did you fire? No, I didn't fire. I don't think so. I said, well, I heard a shot. So this guy got one off. With a time we're going to get there, pick the body up and things like that. No gun. So basically, later on down the line, after doing an investigation, we find out that Rico's bullet actually hit him in the leg. And that's the shot.
Say that again, Rico.
Rico's bullet actually hit him in the leg. And that's the shot I heard. Before that, people did the same thing they did with that cop. They said, Ira Todd's lying. I used to be sitting in the spot. People wouldn't even know me. I'm sitting in the dry spot. I thought it worked out. Yeah, that cop, he done killed a whole bunch of Cubans. And I'm telling you, people, he done killed a bunch of Cubans. And they been going down there. And people said, he didn't hear the shot. He's just lying. He's want to take him out. And people say, another guy, it's just crazy stuff. So I'm telling you, perception is everything. I get excited.
In that moment will never leave you. There's a half a dozen incidents in your career that you will live with, right? And it never leaves you. And it's like it was just 10 minutes ago that it happened, right?
Absolutely.
But what I wanted to say is there's a brilliant piece in the Detroit Free Press that Ira wrote about the Leola shooting. And what I really enjoyed about it, what I thought was really relevant, and I think Vanessa touched on it, was you said history is in that courtroom. Can you just tell our viewers your perspective of history being in that courtroom during that trial?
And that's basically what you see. When you see these things, when people get really emotional, we see them over and over again. White cops killing black people, For instance, white cops beating black people to death. Think about it. Nevers and Busting. I was a black man beat by 2 white cops. A motorist beaten to death by 2 white cops, which was actually more than 2 white cops, because they got shot. But it's like you see it, you feel it, you endure it. It hurts. I remember when George Floyd got killed, and everybody was pissed and they were mad, and I was upset too. But I remember family members where we all group text message. They were like, I hate cops. I hate cops. I this, I that. And I'm sitting there crying. Because I'm like, wait a minute, I've been about 35 years, 40 years before that, I was with somewhere else. All these years, I'm just these brothers hate me. And you feel like I did this job. I mean, diligent. You work with doctors. I love the job. People don't realize a lot of cops aren't on it for the money. They really love what they do. They get immediate gratification, get satisfaction from helping people. And that's why they joined up. They didn't join up to be charged with murder. They didn't join up to kill somebody. They joined up to be a part of the community and be proud and be loved. And so when you see people over and over going into courtrooms, being killed by cops, doing this, it's emotional. And even on the white side, white people say, well, what? You got this white cop who's panicking out there, so on and so on. I'd rather he get charged than I get charged because I can't do that job. So maybe they give him a pass. Maybe say, I don't know if it's criminal, but I can't convict him of it. And so people got to understand all these things are wrapped up in emotions, but we have to let our criminal justice system work its way out. And that's all I was saying. We have to trust our criminal justice system because our emotions, when we put them in it, I think about Malice Green, I think about Rodney King, I think about all the ones I lived with, and we still living with. And so, like you said, that history walks in that courtroom, and we want to see, hey, it's going to be rectified. It's something going to be done by.
Let me just go ahead.
What I was going to, this guy, he'll go and go and go.
Yeah,
We love it too.
3 hours later, you've been listening. You haven't put much in. But one thing you said that stuck out is that when I said earlier, you forsake a lot to go down this path. You do. Think about all of the holidays that you miss, all of the holidays that you go and members of your family who don't really understand, they don't really understand what you go through, ask you, what's the craziest thing you've seen? Those questions are questions that we try to keep behind us and not always be asked. Those who experience things, I think a lot of people, a lot of law enforcement officers, black and white, have family members who go through things, be it mental health, be it criminality, all of those things. And now it's like, oh yeah, you got a criminal brother, or you got your brother is loopy, whatever the case may be. So you forsake a lot, and there's a lot that you have to deal with. I'm also watching Thread, and I mean, there's just some mean people on here. Just and that's that. And I don't take it personally. It's not personal, but it further goes to what I talk about with being police. You have people who have never been in a scout car, who have never been in a sensitive or tough situation, who have so much knowledge and so much skill on how you get out of that situation, how you deal with that situation. One question that I actually saw that was pretty good, I think it was Deborah, maybe, or Megan. They asked, is there a need for police reform? And I would say absolutely. There are some things that police officers are taught. And each year, things change. Each year, you see updates and different ways of handling things. I'll give you a big example. I'm a part of an organization that trains crisis intervention officers to deal with those who are in crisis, be it mental health or some other form of crisis. You didn't have that. For years, you didn't have that. It's only in the last maybe 10 years that we've even looked at that. So yes, there are some things that need to be changed in law enforcement. I'm never going to say that it's not.
The question Vanessa was asking in terms of your brother, this and that, I want to elaborate a little bit and say, doesn't it make it harder for cops every time? It's like, I know as a reporter, if a reporter screws somebody, plagiarizes, screws the source or whatever, it's bad for all the reporters.
Yeah.
And does it make your job harder when every time an incident like in Grand Rapids happens, or does it matter?
1,000% makes it harder. I might as well have been in that position. Like I tell guys, if you talk to someone and they feel like they've been disrespected, I might as well have done it as well. And there's nefariety on both sides of the fence. And I believe that until we both agree and come to the fence to figure out how we move forward, there will always be this divide.
We saw the father who ran over a traffic cop after his son was shot fatally by a police officer, and he just wanted to kill a cop.
Yeah.
And as you say, but some people draw no distinction.
But I'll just say this. Anybody that's ever done the job wishes. It may not have been a fatal incident, but there's a car that they stopped or a call that they went by that they felt, I wish I would have just driven by that stopped car on the side of the road. But this officer didn't have that opportunity. His mind said, I have to find out what's going on here. So now if he'd have driven by that car and went and got a bagel and a coffee, he would not have been facing second-degree murder charges. And everybody that's ever put that uniform on walked into the squad room at the end of the night and say, I wish I hadn't stopped that car. I wish I'd have driven by that incident. Correct?
I'm glad you said that, because this has been that was before COVID. So leaning on 10 years ago, the uniform crime analysis, completed by the FBI, showed a 50% increase in just random petty crime. And they surveyed many agencies across the country, and they said, yeah, we know it. We know that, the crime is going up. And they said, well, why aren't you doing it? Because we're afraid that something adverse is going to happen. We're going to lose our jobs. We're going to get involved in the shooting. Because now it appears that we are always wrong until there is no other option but to prove us right. A lot of officers take that step back. They don't. They go past the incident. They go past what they call proactive policing, those types of things. They respond to the calls, they clear that call as quickly as possible, and they move on. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's something that happens.
What about police corruption? There's somebody here says there's a lot of bad cops. I know people tarnish, a bad cop tarnishes a lot of others. In your both experiences, were there a lot of bad cops? Were there a few bad cops that you knew of that you wish they weren't on the department?
So I could care less when Joe Citizen says that. Because for one, they're going off of what they see that they're allowed to see. Two, they're going off of a situation where, so think about it. You've had situations where someone didn't like your response. You're not a police officer, but they didn't like your response for whatever reason. So imagine us as the authority saying, hey, it's got to be this way. I don't like it. He's a bad cop. He didn't listen to us. So go ahead.
Go ahead. Marc DeAndre, 7 Mile Radio. He does a lot of good journalism. He has a lot of interaction with the police department. So, Marc, give us your perspective and ask what questions you want to ask.
Well, one thing that I was going to say, right? Because that's the conversation y'all
I know
were
the
getting
girl in the building. I talk louder than everybody else. I don't understand that.
We trying to be cool and sweet.
Or just be, everyone's just be.
Yeah,
We don't want to.
Let's get it going.
All the time we talk about relationships, I tell people, it's probably best that the women hold the women accountable for their problems and the men hold the men accountable for their issues. I mean, so I feel like the same thing is with the police. Just like how you were explaining, when a citizen try to hold a police officer accountable, you're a citizen, so you don't know, the protocol on, how police is supposed to handle business, or, how police are supposed to handle business.
I'm going to respond.
So, so what has it ever been an instance where you see some misconduct from a police officer? You held them accountable. What does holding police officers accountable look like for you as a police officer?
Well, absolutely. It could be a myriad of things. It could be you going to that officer and saying, "Hey, this is not the way that we're going to handle this. Let's change this action." You can make official notifications. It's a lot of different things that you can do to hold each other accountable. I think it's important to hold each other accountable because I think in order to receive someone's opinion of accountability, we have to respect that person. And commonly, you'll find in law enforcement, if you have not been in my shoes, if you don't have the years that I have, I'm not going to respect your opinion. So I think it's important that it start with law enforcement so that you actually hear what that person is saying. There are many things. There's division is called Internal Affairs Division. I spent maybe 6 years on that division. So a lot of times the notification that we receive are fellow officers who were there on scene, who witnessed it, who don't want others to know that, hey, I witnessed this and I don't think it's right. But they make notification, hey, look at the camera on this time, on this date, at this time.
So let Todd answer the question, and then I'm going to address some of the viewers, because how Detroit Black and White survives is by viewers, and we have to acknowledge our viewers, and we haven't had a chance to acknowledge our viewers. So go ahead, Ira.
I think a lot of people really don't think the police hold other officers accountable. A lot of people on the outside looking in, but cops blow the whistle on other cops. Cops check guys in the streets. We grab guys and tackle guys who are going overboard. I've been stopped from going over. I've been kicking them out and want to get my licks back in, and I've been stopped too. And people are going to realize a lot of people think we don't check each other. We do check each other. Like you said, you got to turn off air, but you have respect among each other. And once officers get in that car, people don't realize, even And I'm telling you, the biggest thing is now this generation of law enforcement is different than our generation. Because our generation had the same problems, same division, same everything. But once we got in that car together, we knew that we had to have each other's back. Then you start talking about your family lives, your friends, and things that go on. You become friends. You become more than just working partners and things like that. Yeah. So it is some things where you see a lot of officers check a lot of officers. Like I said,
but then where's that brotherhood? Like it's he talked about the integrity of a news reporter, right? So now does that outweigh your integrity as an officer now because you have this brotherhood and you don't want to
law enforcement, everything else is a microcosm from the top. Whatever's going on in our country, you're going to see it going on in law enforcement, journalism, everything else. So when you see the top is corrupt, you're going to see a lot of corruption and everything else. When you see chaos, you can see it trickle all the way down. So that's all you're seeing. People are losing their minds out here. Cops are different nowadays than they were before because people are different nowadays than they were before. Yeah. People don't care. They don't stick together as like they used to.
Probably don't see cops holding each other accountable probably because they see more brutality at the hands of cops.
And you know why you see more brutality? I'm gonna tell you why you see more brutality. People
being held or charged for.
And I'll tell you why you see more brutality. Because people say we need police reform. You know what we really need? And people get mad at me if I'm saying citizens reform. Because let me tell you, wait, let me finish this. Because you guys want me on the show and you want me to talk, I'm gonna say this. People should have citizen reform because you hire us. You can carry a gun, you make us go through the academy.
So reform the citizens that we are hiring as police.
No. Listen to me. How about you guys respect us? If we pull you over, we shouldn't have to go through 50 million questions. Wait a minute. Because if we go through 50 million questions, you might not know I'm pulling you over because I got a description of a guy just robbed a bank in a blue car with 2 drivers in there, and I have to protect myself. Now, in the time I have to
get out the car aggressive though. Some cops get out the car aggressive.
So but sometimes you don't know
I have to walk on eggshells because you.
But all I'm trying to say is we can educate the citizens and the officers the same way, just like we educate everything else. They put money in things. Why not say, hey, look, this is what
I hired you to serve and protect me. Now I have to walk on eggshells because you had a bad day.
Or because they had a bad day.
Hold on 1 second. So this is what's wonderful about Detroit Black and White because we have different opinions.
That's right.
And hopefully you'll walk out of here and you can appreciate how he's feeling and vice versa.
I have a question.
Before you do the question, because we have a lot of people we have not addressed them.
We have
that
addressed
is
some.
unfair.
We have addressed.
Well, I haven't addressed them. How about that? I said I had control issues. Okay.
And it's your birthday, so
right.
Happy birthday, girl.
Happy have it. Deborah Harris, good morning. Thank you. Students should appreciate the opportunities and privileges they have in America. Day, thank you. Day came down and he gave me a birthday gift. Karen Winston, Terry McCrimmon, Detroit retirees need a handout. We had someone make a comment about Deborah Harris. She talked about she had a good massage in her life. She had one good massage in her whole life. Okay. Megan Slattery. She said part of human trafficking continues because people think the victims are throwaway people. The large majority of humans don't want to admit they have bias about who deserves what in the world. There was somebody who made a comment about the Highland Park Police Department. Megan said cops in the United States need to learn jiu-jitsu as they do in some European countries. Adolph talked about fat police officers last night. Carl Org says no matter how you slice it, the Grand Rapids police officer should be treated and called for backup. And your Highland Park, Michigan Chief of Police McMahon is one of the worst in the country. They got rid of his aide in Warren, Michigan for wrongdoing. Highland Park, Michigan takes all the problem bad cops, so avoid the city if possible. Megan says, thank you for answering her question. Trapped in podcast says we should focus on the obscure world bank. Yada, yada, yada. Y'all can read that. Black Americans don't lack knowledge about who is doing what. We lack the confidence to take it all down. Timothy Squire Bay, thank you so much for making a comment. He says, good morning. And when cops do blow the whistle on another cop, they become victims from the other cops.
Thank you.
And I
Okay.
All right.
all right.
Yeah,
I got
say good morning.
So that's
I got
hang on.
All right.
I'm not going to allow the department to be destroyed erroneously.
He gave his opinion. He
So,
didn't destroy it.
so Highland Park
Highland Park.
is not a
He gave
flea
his
market.
opinion.
We have one of the most strenuous hiring processes around. You can ask some 60 plus members or some 60 plus candidates or applicants that have been disqualified for one reason. There was a time under previous administrations, multiple, going back, that because of the economic climate of that city, they had to hire who they could. So I'm not judging. There were some questionable hires. I'll get to that. But I will tell you that Highland Park is a different department. As it directly relates to Chief McMahon, and I have not, really spoke to him about this. He doesn't even know that I'm taking this. I was kind of told, hey, we got the questions for us. But Chief McMahon, I'm very upfront and vocal about things such as racism and things of that nature in departments. Chief McMahon is one of the most kind people that I've ever met. There's times where we have meetings and he's 30 minutes late. Like, where are you? Oh, I'm helping this lady change her tire. Huh? How did you run into her? Oh, I saw her on the street, nowhere near the city of Highland Park. We're somewhere else. He has held people accountable. He has terminated officers for wrongdoing. He has acknowledged and authorized investigations. So again, when you have a bad experience and you have misinformation, because misinformation comes from a lot of different directions and a lot of different areas, you develop an opinion. But until you've actually been there in that situation, and I'll go on to say that Chief McMahon and I hated each other when I first got to Allan. But I talk to him every day, even weekends, for various reasons. But he's not a bad guy. Highland Park is doing great strides, and our mayor, we're doing great strides to become a different department. I'm speaking specifically for the police department. We are doing the work. We have officers that are handling mental health runs, that are trained in that. So it's a different department. We have gone and done the work to become a different department.
Appreciate that. I have one more question, and then if you have one more, then we're gonna
We have to wrap
we're
up.
going over. I have a quick question for Ira. In Memphis, you had a squad that was out there, which was basically like their own gang, and they were going and going after people and being the tough guys on the street. Where do you draw the distinction between cops being cops and then cops being a gang, where they just sort of they take over the street and they're feared?
It's poor leadership, and a lot of times those 6 cops are getting held accountable for their poor behavior and everything else. But people won't really tell the truth and say, look here, they don't realize those 6 cops were put out there and told you, go take the streets back, go do this, go do that. Without the proper leadership, proper training, cops are going to get a little crazy wild. They become that gang member, or become that kind of, I'm going to be a little brutal, whatever. It's poor leadership. If you see guys out there doing stuff wrong, cops out there, I'm telling you, and I didn't even disrespect me if I was early, but if you see guys out there like doing something wrong, call their supervisor, go to the station, because I'm telling you, sometimes leadership don't know, and then sometimes leadership do know. Sometimes leadership say, go back out there and take that block back, but they don't tell the cops how to do it. And then after a while, these cops they're gonna do it the way they can do it. But it's training and poor leadership that causes all those kind of things. They don't think they don't know it at the time. Sometimes they facilitate. They tell them, go out there and kick ass and take names, and then step back when they get in trouble.
Yeah, so we're going to have to wrap it up. We've had a spirited conversation. I want to tell everybody that participated in the comments, thank you. We weren't able to get to all of them. I tried to acknowledge everybody. Sam, I want to thank all of our guests this morning. Keisha Brooks, massage therapist. Know the difference between a massage therapist and masseuse. Of course, our regular crew, Jim, Allan, Adolph. Ira Todd, Officer Monroe for Highland Park, at people in Highland Park.
Okay.
Marc DeAndre, 7 Mile Radio, who comes on once a month. And I want to give a special shout out to Lady T, my girl, my dog. Happy Mother's Day. We love you. And thank you guys so much. Join us again on Wednesday, Detroit in Black and White. Bye.